This is Moneyline Mania with Chaz and the crew.
Well, you guys are almost at 81.5%. You guys are killing it right now with all your bets. Unbelievable picks and parlays. Wes, you're the hockey guru. We had some soccer guys last week, some college basketball, and John that was on, he was fantastic too. He was dead on. And so were you, Chaz. You were very good.
Hector did apologize. So what it was, Wes, Hector came on last week, and it was opening week of MLS. Opening week, you go into the water like you're going to the ocean in the spring. You just stick your toes in there, make sure it's not too cold. He was 0-3, but the bottom line is I know Hector, and he won't be 0-3 every week. So.
Well, listen,
he won't.
You have bad weeks. Wes probably has bad weeks, but Wes was like, I make a living doing this. I don't make that many mistakes.
There's a bankroll management piece to it. You don't get carried away. You don't chase. You have to stay disciplined to it if you're trying to make a living off of it. If you're in it just to have some fun and skin in the game, and most people are, you manage your bankroll a little bit different. You have a different risk tolerance.
So we talked about that. Understand how hard August is for me. I have to wake up August 1st knowing I'm going to have Canadian football. But in the past, I had to wake up knowing I have to wait for football. There's no way I'm not betting that Labor Day weekend of college football, but it's opening weekend. I'm not going crazy either.
I like to go crazy. A lot of these fans out here, 70 million the first week when betting actually became legal here in New York. As the months go by, it's going to get larger. People just like to bet. I got the beef over there in Bayshore every single day betting on 4 or 5 parlays. He's trying to hit so he can make $3,000-$4,000 in one night. I said, dude, you're out of your damn mind.
You got to give him the credit. It takes a lot of effort. Oh, by the way, everyone understands this is the first Saturday in March. Doesn't mean much, but a couple months from now, it's going to be the first Saturday in May, baby.
Sure is.
March Madness is right around the corner, guys.
Well, I was kind of going the equine.
I got you, but March Madness is around the corner, a week and a half away.
The Big East tournament starts Wednesday. While we're on the air next week, the Big East championship game is going to be on.
I love the Big East, St. John's, Villanova, Jay Wright. And Villanova, it's a superstar school. They've won 2 championships in the last 5 years. Great defensive team, defensive-minded coach. So I love Villanova, and I expect Villanova to make a run this year. I don't know if they win, but they're going to make a run.
I think Nova, you bring up a good point. It would be a very Nova thing to do if they won this tournament because they've been really up and down all season. In some weird spots they've lost. They've had some ugly first half starts, come back to win games. Like, been a very weird Nova team. So it would be a very Villanova thing if they won the tournament. But I think Providence needs this tournament more.
Oh, Providence is going to be good too, yeah.
Who they are, the brand itself, I feel like they're going to show up to this Big East tournament knowing that they need it. And Sports Betting Weekly with John and Chaz, we've been on St. John's. It almost feels like we're St. John's fans because John from GMF has called them out so many times. So they're always scary.
Yeah.
Well, last week we were talking about St. John's, and I said to him, sometimes you can't worry about the point spread. But St. John's had gone on a tear with the points. Team total over. They put up 94, and they got the L.
Wow.
94 points in college basketball, and they lost the game.
That doesn't happen often.
No way. And they came back the next week. They scored 81. They're playing Marquette. Marquette, in their last 6 games, is 0-6 against the spread. They've allowed 80-plus in 4 of them. They allowed 91, 83, 85, and 80. I'm just saying the same thing I'm saying last week. You guys should have just recorded me last week and played it again. No, why? I could be out with my wife, go have dinner, take the team total over.
Chaz, hold on. What are we going to use you as a robot?
If my lips are moving, I'm probably getting yelled at by my
wife. All right, so why don't we go through some of the games that you guys have? Wes really knocked it out of the park 2 weeks ago. What are some of the games that really stand out that people can win some money on?
Sunday NHL is interesting to me. I'm going to throw out a system play. What a system play is, for those listeners that don't know, a system play is when if this, and this happens, I'm betting this guy no matter what. So it's just an automatic. So with the NHL, I like to look at any teams that are on the road. It's the second game in a row. The team I'm going to pick on is Seattle. Seattle is going to be on the road. They're going to Carolina, number 1 in the NHL at goals allowed, and they're one of the top teams in goals scored, 5 or 6 in power play. So I'm laying 1.5 and taking Carolina. They're just coming off a hard-fought game against Pittsburgh. Carolina is the dark horse to win the cup. I like Carolina to cover the 1.5 against Seattle. But the other interesting one, I'm from Chicago. I'm a Blackhawks guy, but Tampa going to Chicago will have played 3 out of the last 4 nights, and now they're going on the road. That's an interesting one to look at, depending on who the goalie is. If Vasilevsky sits down, over 5.5 that game could be worth a play.
Tyler Johnson revenge game?
Yeah.
You have to pay attention to that goalie play because in the course of a regular season, the starting goalie, he's going to get 85 to 90% of the starts, right? But back-to-back, and when you've got COVID issues and all of a sudden games are canceled, teams are making up games, you've got some of those back-to-back. First of all, the Carolina, they were an ATM for about 3 or 4 weeks, weren't they, with their team totals? They just scored every single night.
And we did the right thing. We laid off for about a week, and then I even took that second week and laid low on the NHL because that All-Star break, the teams pivot and go in weird directions. But Carolina is back on the road.
When do you know who's going to start in that?
Every day I check in the morning, get on whatever your search is, Google starting NHL goalies tonight. There's a couple different places you can go to, and it'll show you projected, confirmed. And I always run through there before I make any of the action official, unless it's going to be a system play. If it's a system play and I'm taking the home guy going against a road dog, I don't even care at that point. But I always check first thing in the morning before I lock in anything, especially with a team like Tampa. It's a very big difference when they have Vasilevsky in goal and anybody else, especially on the road. So I'm going to lock in the action Sunday morning. Tampa, in that particular game, that will be their 3rd out of 4 nights, and then they're on the road. So they might not even be honest about who's starting in goal first thing in the morning.
It's so funny because Wes is expecting his first child.
Oh, look at that.
And I'm laughing because you're 2 months in.
We just actually had our 20-week. Baby's 12 ounces and healthy.
Hold on 1 second. Wes, how old are you?
42.
Oh, okay. You're around my age. I'm going to be 40 this year. I'm getting to that age where I'm going to have to start spitting them out, too. So I'm like that.
Here's the problem. Once you have a baby, if you say to your wife, honey, I'll get the baby changed as soon as I check for the goalies, it ain't going to work out really well.
Maybe the baby will pick first.
Yeah, there you go.
Peter, you be quiet. You're 26 years old, man.
Somehow I feel like I'm not going to know all the starting goalies in the NHL next year.
Well, I doubt that.
Really it becomes a sleep deprivation and sports betting are not a good combination.
Oh, well,
but Wes is smart enough to know he won't make too many mistakes.
Well, here's the crazy thing. Wes, when he has to stay up late at night, he can pop on Sports Center and get all his information.
Wes will be better than those guys.
There's no doubt you're going to have some late-night Sports Center you might have seen already once that day and puke on your shoulder. Guarantee it, man.
Well, with the wife at home with the baby, she might know more about the spreads than I have. She's pointed out spreads before me. The wife of a sports investor is a powerful thing.
I get excited because I'm following the New York teams. So I grew up. There was 3 papers. There was the News, Daily News, the Post, and the Times. In my neighborhood, we didn't sell a lot of the Times. The bottom line is, so I'm at the taco shop the other night with my wife, and there's a Ranger game on one channel and the next game on the other channel. I felt like I was back east in Morse code.
No, Morse code is right.
I'm looking at these guys. The Islanders are off tomorrow, but the Rangers at Winnipeg, they scored early the other night for us. Remember, Wes, we had them a couple weeks back?
Winnipeg doesn't allow a ton of goals, but New York loves to score them. And with New York, if Panarin shows up, for whatever reason, when that guy gets an assist or a goal, the Rangers can hang 4, 5, 6 goals. So what is Panarin doing in the first 10 minutes of the game is kind of the way I look at the Rangers.
It's so true, and that's really what we talk about on our live shows when we do live action. It's really what's happened. When you see something that you know, how many USC games did we catch? Because we noticed USC's like the first 13 minutes that just hang around and not play basketball. And then somewhere about 3/4 of the way through the first half, they kick it up a notch. But the next was the game that we cashed on. Remember, we saw that the Phillies down by 13 at the time. Texted out. We said, okay, we got 6 eyes. We got me, John, and Wes on this text thread. There's 6 eyeballs. So we got 6 eyeballs looking at opportunities. And I would tell you right now, if you're a sports bettor and you don't have sports bettor friends, call me. I'll sit down and talk to you, dude. You got to have sports betting friends. Otherwise, you lose your mind. If you're a sports bettor and hang around with non-sports bettor, it's a different language. It's a different attitude.
If you're an idiot that'll bet on the Knicks, well, golly, okay? I don't think there's any stupid bettor that's going to bet on the Knicks. How many times you see the Knicks have a 15, 16-point lead, and they give it up in the third or fourth quarter and lose the game by 10 or 15? They're horrible. I think you're probably better off betting that the Knicks, they're going to have the lead going into the second half, and then they lose it by 10 or 15 points.
Is that a specific bet, Wes? Over, under, minus 10.5 point lead they blow?
Errol, I'm happy to be your idiot if the points are right.
What you just said, your words exactly, Errol, are a trend. And that's what we look for. We look for what teams are going to do. No different than any aspect of life. If you know certain things are going to happen, you plan for those things, and you got to take responsibility. Now, if you're a Knicks fan, it's a whole nother animal, because now your team's up 13 and you're betting against them and you're rooting for the other team. That's probably not going to work.
If you're
out.
a Knicks fan, find a nice little place to jump off a bridge. There is no way in hell you want to be a Knicks fan right now. They're horrible. Julius Randle, he's probably better off working with bricks than shooting basketballs, okay? All right? I mean, the guy's horrible.
Thursday night, the Nets lost to Miami, and Sunday they're coming back at Boston. Any opinions on that one?
I like the Nets for sure. At Boston is always tough. That is a tough place to play basketball, and it's a noon game, so it takes a minute to get going, but it's usually a loud place, sold-out crowd. I do like Brooklyn to cover in that game.
And Kevin Durant is back. I also predict, being that it's a noon game, most afternoon games, Kevin Durant scores over 30 points.